Well, I just saw a little while ago the third installment of the John Wick franchise. And I had seen the first two movies in part, like just going through the cable, and I was very impressed by this sort of, as everyone is, this sort of balletic choreography in these movies, because John Wick's played by Keanu Reeves, and he's a hitman assassin being pursued by an army of other hired killers. But it's the way they choreograph the gunfighting and all that, which is so kind of extraordinary. So I went to this third movie and watched it, with some interest. And first of all, Keanu Reeves, I feel in some ways I've kind of grown up with him. He's a little younger than I am, but not that much. But watching him from Bill and Ted's Big Adventure, or Amazing Adventure, or whatever, through Parenthood and into the Speed and the Matrix movies and all this, and now John Wick. For a guy with a pretty narrow acting range, I mean, let's face it, he's not Laurence Olivier, but he's created some pretty iconic characters. So I give Keanu some credit. But anyway, this movie, as I was watching John Wick Volume 3, I was thinking, as how could you not, of Arthur Schopenhauer. Schopenhauer is the 19th century German philosopher. Now, why am I thinking of Arthur Schopenhauer? Well, Schopenhauer said, among many other things, that life is like a guy on a raft going down a rapidly moving river with all sorts of obstacles and rocks and heading toward a waterfall. Well, says Schopenhauer, that's life. We make our way through life, desperately trying to stay afloat, to stay alive. We're threatened all the time. I mean, just think about it. Disease and, a car accident or whatever it is, we're always threatened. And so we fend off these dangers. And from the time we're little kids, we're taught how to fend off the dangers that threaten us. But at the end of the day, no matter how skilled we are, no matter how deft we are at fending off dangers, everybody will go over the waterfall and die. Here, Schopenhauer is very close to Blaise Pascal, the great Christian philosopher. Pascal used this metaphor. He said, life is like a group of prisoners chained to this great rock where they're forced to labor every day. And they work and they work and they work. And every day, one of them, seemingly arbitrarily, is taken away and executed. And the rest look on in dismay, contemplating their own fate. You say, pretty bleak visions, right? But show me one way that it's wrong. So here we are in this life, and we labor away. Here's Pascal's image. We labor away, doing our thing. We're chained to this rock, like this earth. We're going to escape from this earth. And then every day, you open the paper and, oh, yeah, that person died, that person died. Oh, and then someone you knew, really, he died? She died? Oh, what happened? I mean, and why was that person taken? I mean, I don't know. There seems no rhyme or reason to it. And as that happens, I contemplate my own fate, that, yeah, someday I'm going to be taken away. Schopenhauer, so here we all are around that raft, we're all trying to survive, and then, somebody went over the waterfall. Oh, yeah. And I'm going to go over the waterfall eventually. Now, here's why I thought of Schopenhauer with John Wick, is John Wick makes his way through these movies, and he's hyper skilled, right? He's one of the most gifted assassins and killers in the world. And this army of other very skilled fighters and assassins are after him. And one by one, John Wick manages to fend them off, and he keeps alive. He's wounded, but he's alive, and he's boom, 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 and he's surviving this desperate attack on him. But now in movie 1, movie 2, movie 3, and then we're set up for movie 4, they keep coming. They keep coming. No matter how many people he deals with, they keep coming. And what struck me is watching Keanu Reeves in this one, you're not getting a younger kid. I mean, he used to be this kid. Now he looks like a pretty grim middle-aged guy. He's not getting any younger, and they're going to keep coming after him. Well, Pascal, Schopenhauer, John Wick, that's life. That's what life is like. We desperately try to keep ourselves afloat, alive, thriving, but in the end, we have to come to terms with it, right? Now you say, okay, Bishop, why are you telling me these terrible stories and why are we rehearsing this? Well, it's an extremely important point, I think, for Christians to get clear in their minds. Do we think, oh, just surrender, just die, just get it over with? Well, no. We certainly accept the fact that we should learn the various ways of surviving, that, life is wonderful and we should do our best to live fully and fending off dangers and so on. Sure, of course we should. But we know, even though the culture denies it in 1,000 ways, we know that eventually everyone dies. And that should awaken a very deep spiritual sensibility about this life. See, what can happen is, as you're on Schopenhauer's raft and you're making your way, and I'm doing okay, I'm fending this off, and I'm in the river, it's not bad, and it's nice country around me. But man, we're not meant for that. We're not meant finally for that river. That's not what it's all about. You're on Pascal's rock, laboring away. I guess for the moment I'm okay and making my way. But you're not meant for that finally. We're meant for life on high with God. Is it in continuity with this life? Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed it is. But we're not meant finally for this world. Maybe with all this in mind, think of Teresa of Avila. What's this life? It's like a bad night in a bad hotel. You're in a bad hotel and it's kind of just a rough night. You didn't sleep very well. Well, because you're not meant for the hotel. You're not meant to stay in the hotel. You're going somewhere else. You're on your way somewhere else. Now, here's where Schopenhauer is wrong. You're not just on your way to oblivion. We would say you're on your way to the fullness of life. And it's the cognizance of death, the inevitability of death. No matter how skilled you are, no matter how like John Wick you are, you have to face it. That gives your life here its proper focus and orientation. You live it, but not clinging to it. You enjoy it, but knowing it's provisional, that you're on the way somewhere else. I have no idea if any of this was in the minds of the makers of John Wick, but it occurred to me as I watched it. Maybe one last thought. And don't write to me, John Wick experts. I'm sure getting these plot details wrong, but at one point, there's kind of a Russian Orthodox connection to the world that he's moving in. And at one point in the movie, he's actually branded with the cross of Jesus. Every time someone's baptized, we use this language of being baptized into the death of Jesus, right? A Christian is someone who's been branded. So baptism is a character sacrament. Character means brand in Greek and in Latin. You're branded by the cross of Jesus. Does that mean you live in constant pessimism and negativity? No, it means from the beginning, we're marking someone with the sign of Jesus' cross, which means his death. The death that conduces to a life beyond this one, and in light of which this life alone makes sense. I just saw a lot of that in the very, call it beautiful precariousness of the John Wick movie.